move along. It's not supposed to exceed 30 minutes, but we'll hear everybody. And I'll call one name, and if the next person would just slide over to the side here so that they're ready to go, that'll speed things up very much so. First on our list is Krista Millard, and Carrie Overgaard would be next.
My name is Krista Millard. My children have attended traditional public schools in Chatham County since kindergarten. My daughter is in her second year at NC State. My son is a senior at Northwood. I am here to support our current school board and voice my opposition to the Parents First movement currently making noise within our community. These groups use words like liberty and freedom to ban books and impose their religious ideologies into public school curricula in other communities, and I don't want that to happen here. I believe in one Chatham for all students. Putting parents first will not help our students succeed. Our current school board puts students first. Adding noise to our school board will not help our students succeed, but bring non-relevant conversations into student education that do not impact student growth or achievement. Banning books such as Girls Who Code and Of Mice and Men will not help our students succeed. Parents reviewing social studies curriculum written by the state of North Carolina will not help our students succeed. What will help our students succeed? Focusing on giving our students the resources they need to graduate and go on to bright and prosperous futures. This has been and should always be the focus of the current Board of Education members. Expanding programs like AVID, which our current school board members voted to do. Expanding programs that increase the percentage of students reading on grade level by third grade, an early indicator of high school success and on-time graduation. This has been the focus of our current school board members. Supporting our teachers and respecting the teaching profession. Pushing for salary increases for our teachers so we can recruit and retain high-quality teachers in every classroom. As a community, we should spend our efforts pushing the state to be accountable and push for more funding. If the legislature would fund the already approved remediation plan for North Carolina Public Schools, Leandro, which this Board of Education passed a resolution on last year, Chatham County Schools would have an additional $18.7 million to spend. In my 20+ years in Chatham County, I have worked with the schools, inside of the schools, with the Chatham Education Foundation, the Chatham Arts Council, as a PTA board member, a booster club president, a substitute media assistant, PTA thrift shop board member. I've done end of grade testing as a proctor. I've volunteered in numerous classrooms and have had the privilege of riding on the bookmobile, which serves students in Siler City during summer break. I have firsthand witnessed the excitement and joy our students have in our media centers and in the classroom. We should continue to move forward and provide inclusive, respectful, safe, and nurturing school environments for all students and staff. Thank you.
Carrie Overgaard and Sarah D'Amato.
Hello. My name is Carrie Overgaard, and I have lived in Chatham County for just about 30 years, I think this month. And I don't have children in the school system. I'm not a parent, but I wanted to speak out in support of our current school or Board of Education today on behalf of those of us who recognize that our children are our future. And they will need to be well prepared for today's world. When I moved to Bynum 30+ years ago, there were no children running around. But in the time that I've been there, at one point I counted and there was like 35 children. So we went from none to 35. And so I've watched my neighbors and my community raise their children. They all went to Chatham County Public Schools, and now they're starting to go to college. And from what I have seen and witnessed, I think they're well prepared to do that, and I think their education in Chatham County did that for them. One of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of continuing education and the training that is being offered to the teachers here. I was a nurse. I am a nurse. Once you're a nurse, you're always a nurse. And we were required every year to do annual updates. We had to have so many continuing education units in order to have our license renewed every couple of years. And that made for better outcomes for our patients, shorter hospital stays. We sometimes measure a good outcome and a bad outcome if the patient dies or doesn't die. But when you have a staff that is well educated, and you just have better outcomes. People get well sooner, they get out of the hospital sooner, they continue to thrive in their communities. And I have to believe that that is the same for teachers. That with training, ongoing training in whatever areas that the school board wants them to have, or continuing education units that they get on their own time, that has to provide for us better education outcomes for our children. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say tonight.
Sarah D'Amato and Brenda Moody.
Good evening, board. My name is Sarah D'Amato. I am a parent to two children who are sitting in the audience tonight, as we sometimes have to do as parents. In the 3 minutes that I am given to speak this evening, I would first like to thank the board for your steadfastness and your commitment to Chatham County Schools in the past few months, especially in light of all of these accomplishments that you have done. You've achieved great things, and yet there are attempts to diminish those accomplishments and distract from the work ahead of you. Secondly, I'd like to speak as to my wishes for the board and for Chatham County Schools as a parent. I also want to assure you that I do not expect any response from you right now. Board policy has always been that the board sits and listens, and any attempts to suggest that your lack of a response to me indicates that you are not taking my voice and my considerations and concerns is merely an attempt to diminish your work on that board. The recent report that came out about Chatham County Schools showed that we actually did really well, all things considered. In general, Chatham County Schools, this board acknowledged the needs of our students. This board looked at everything and carefully considered it and holistically considered what our needs were for Chatham County Schools. This board said, hey, you know what? We might need to send our kids back to school in person sooner than Orange County and sooner than Durham County, and that caused a little bit of a rift. But y'all knew that that was what Chatham County Schools needed in that moment, and as a parent, I thank you that you were able to, during that time, center always what the children of Chatham County Schools needed, despite what we were hearing otherwise from other people who wanted to issue their opinions as to how you should be doing your work. Secondly, I want to take this opportunity to use this pulpit to share my wish for Chatham County Schools moving forward. During the last meeting, this pulpit became a space where some individuals used their faith as a basis to support ideals that do not move Chatham towards peace and prosperity. In fact, some of the words that were shared were downright harmful, especially to the transgender, non-binary, and queer kids in our community. That does not move us forward. It seems to be an assumption that by some that if I sit up here and I say Black Lives Matter, that I can't also say Merry Christmas, and that I do not have a faith practice. But let's not forget that doing good for all in our community is actually one of the bedrocks of the Christian faith. A sermon I heard actually this past Sunday was very timely. We talked about Jeremiah 29:6 7.
You can finish up pretty quickly.
Okay, and we talked about the, to seek peace and prosperity. And so therefore I ask you, Chatham County Schools, to always put that first. We don't need the Bible in the schools. What we need are the ideas of seeking peace and prosperity, that we have prosperity for all children in our community, all children. And that's how we move forward. Thank you.
Brenda Moody and Tammy Trotter.
Good evening, I'm Brenda Moody, a concerned grandparent and lifelong Chatham resident. I am an advocate for all children to be treated fairly and to receive an excellent education in our schools. Some of our administrators would have you believe the plan is not to incorporate CRT, also called equity training, into our education system, although until about a month ago, I could access the schedule of the training plus some of the slides and details. That public access has now been removed from the school website, which I assume is to hide the agenda. I will read to you the Alliance Defending Freedom's view on critical race theory and the Constitution. Schools that implement policies and practices based on CRT or anti-racism likely violate the constitutional and civil rights of the students, faculty, and staff who are forced to participate. CRT creates a hostile environment when it is implemented to classify students as oppressor or oppressed simply because of their skin color or ethnic heritage, and to advocate for students to be treated differently based on race. This classification violates a child's right to equal treatment. When any dissent from CRT is labeled as racism, students, teachers, and administrators can be threatened and punished based on their beliefs, becoming victims of viewpoint discrimination. When students, teachers, or administrators are compelled under threat of punishment to affirm statements like America is fundamentally racist, or to confess white privilege or implicit bias, their freedom of speech is violated. Advocates of critical race theory often label Christianity as a dominant identity and an aspect of white dominant culture that has oppressed subordinate non-Christian religions. CRT-inspired curricula can instruct students to make daily choices to work against or dismantle dominant identities like Christianity. Students, teachers, and administrators who are Christian will likely suffer religious discrimination as a result. In conclusion, critical race theory is a toxic ideology that views everything through the lens of race and power. While many in our culture today hold out CRT as the way to fight racism, it only perpetuates racism by advocating for disparate treatment based on race. We should teach children to love their neighbors and to view other classmates as potential friends, not potential enemies, in a racial power struggle. We must stand for the dignity of all human beings. We must stand up for parental rights and other fundamental freedoms. We must continue to strive for an America in which all people are judged by their character, not the color of their skin. And we must remember the words of Dr. King: darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. America isn't perfect, but racism is not defeated by more racism. Injustice is not remedied by placing people in the categories of oppressor and oppressed. We should not teach children to discriminate based on outer characteristics, but instead teach them to treat all people with dignity and respect. Thank you.
Tammy Trotter and Julie Ricker.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Jackson, who's also known by my students as the Big Cheese of Chatham County, and to the leadership team. As a parent, volunteer, and educator, I come before you tonight to say thank you. Thank you for choosing to work tirelessly for Chatham County Schools. Thank you for making the hard, agonizing decisions that you can't pay me to make. Thank you for keeping our students at the forefront of your decisions. Thank you for supporting the faculty and staff of Chatham County Schools. Thank you for being visible in our schools. Thank you for recognizing our hard work and dedication to Chatham County Schools. Thank you for the time and dedication to students, faculty, and families of Chatham County. Thank you for always being so professional. My thank yous are endless. I could go on all night, so I'll just stop there. As an active member of Chatham County Schools since 1996, as an educator and/or a volunteer, and a mother of 3 children who I am proud to say are CCS alumni, our current leadership is one of, if not the best we have had since I first became involved with Chatham County Schools. As you all know, one of our dedicated leaders we are blessed to have is Mr. Poston. He is such an asset to Chatham County Schools. I first met him when he was principal at Pittsboro Elementary School when my children were there. Mr. Poston is as genuine as they come. As you know, and I know, but some others may not realize, Mr. Poston's role includes AVID, which is the Advancement via Individual Determination. I'm at an AVID school, and it's proof it works. Dual language, community engagement, Boys and Girls Club, communities in schools. Many of my students benefit from communities in schools, just to name a few. It doesn't matter what task Mr. Poston is given, he goes above and beyond to not only complete the task, but surpass expectations in doing so. Mr. Poston is very visible in the schools, always has a smile, and genuinely cares. He will stop to speak, ask how you're doing, ask how your children are doing. He'll remember situations and go forward. If asked a question that he doesn't have an answer for, he'll find us. I greatly appreciate all of his support, and I am sure there's many other educators and administrators that also appreciate him. Again, I can't express in words my deep gratitude and appreciation for all of you. I am extremely proud and blessed to live in Chatham County, have my children become Chatham County School alum, and not only to work once for Chatham County Schools, but twice. I praise God daily for the strong leadership we are blessed with here in Chatham County. I hold each and every one of you in my daily prayers. Thank you.
Julie Ricker and Brooke Davis.
Good evening. My name is Julie Ricker, and I'm a parent of 2 students attending a Chatham County elementary school. We have loved being a part of that school community since my son enrolled in kindergarten there 5 years ago. I'm addressing the board tonight to share 3 things. Number 1, my appreciation for the district's efforts to inform and connect with stakeholders across the county. Number 2, my support for the district's E3 initiative. And number 3, my general positive outlook about the direction that Chatham County Schools is headed in, thanks to the innovation and dedication of current leadership and the hardworking staff who serve our students every day. First of all, it is clear to me that you value the involvement and input of stakeholders throughout the district. I have been impressed by the responsiveness of Chatham County School staff and leadership since I first made contact with our school as a prospective parent. I have always received prompt and thorough responses when I have contacted staff at our school and at the county office. In a district rapidly growing as ours, it has always amazed me to get a return phone call or a personal email response to my inquiries or comments. I see continued efforts at improving communication with stakeholders in an effort to keep others well informed and give us opportunities for feedback. Through the Chatham County Schools website, social media pages, and parent university sessions, folks can see the good things happening at schools across the district. Parents have the chance to offer ideas and suggestions through Dr. Jackson's listening tours, focus groups, advisory councils. Thank you for these many ways you work to keep stakeholders well informed and connected. Secondly, I want to tell you how much our family values the work that you're doing through your E3 initiative, Equity and Excellence for Everyone, or Excellent in Opportunity. We strongly believe in and have an immense value of diversity in our schools, and we fully support your efforts to ensure that all students in the county receive a high-quality education. We believe education should expand our worlds, not limit them. So I am thankful for every opportunity our children have to learn about varying cultures and perspectives, and to see full representation of others in our community in the books they read and in the curricula they study. And finally, I feel very positive and hopeful about what lies ahead for Chatham County Schools. I see the work of dedicated and caring staff at our school every day, but I also see evidence that district leadership is on a constant quest to innovate, to grow, and to improve. I love the One Chatham focus, where intentional work is being done to make sure that every school across our county is offering the best opportunities to every student. I see One Chatham as a chance for our county, to work together in support of all staff and students. I hope to see us all rise to this challenge. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for the work you do every day for our students.
Brooke Davis and Emily Geiser.
Good evening, Dr. Jackson, Chairman, members of the Chatham County Board of Education. My name is Brooke Davis. My husband and I have been residents of Chatham County for 11 years and have 3 children in 3 Chatham County schools. Our 5 lives have grown and continue to be transformed by our beautiful, diverse, and growing county. I have been witness to the positive impact that public education, teachers and administrators, and schools have, not only on individual lives, but entire communities. My parents were all public school educators for 35+ years each, and I attended public school. I understand the time and energy given by teachers, staff, and administration, as well as individuals that volunteer their time on school boards and parent-teacher associations. I thank you each for yours. Public schools are an integral part of any community, and as residents, we have a vested interest in supporting all students in becoming productive members of society and future workplaces. This includes adapting to substantial growth and change within our area and beyond. Recently, the Operations Research and Education Laboratory of NC State forecasted an influx of roughly 3,000 students into Chatham County schools over the next 10 years. Furthermore, our nation's census data highlights that children of color now comprise more than half of the nation's under 18 population. Growth and diversity are not only on the rise, they are who we already are. I support that the educational opportunity for all students in Chatham County is not beholden to one narrative, but rather a diverse collective of authentic and balanced viewpoints. As a person of faith, I am called to action because I love where we live, and I love the people that live here. In affirming and celebrating who God created us to be as individuals, Jesus passionately welcomed the stranger, shared meals with the reviled, stood in solidarity with the oppressed, and spoke out about injustice. Every story matters. In accordance with our county's goals and objectives of the Educational Program Policy Code, administrators, quote, must strive to provide each student with the opportunity to develop the capacity to examine and solve problems in a complex and changing society, to foster respect and appreciation for cultural and ideological diversity and differences, and to develop sufficient knowledge of geography, history, and basic economic and political systems to make informed choices with regard to issues that affect the student personally or affect the student's community, state, and nation. Keeping our growing county in mind and the increasingly diverse population, I support our current board in prioritizing working conditions that exceed the state average, pushing for increased compensation for our educators, further driving the retention of qualified personnel, and continuing to develop award-winning programming, propelling Chatham County forward. It is time to think big and act boldly, providing opportunities for individual students to succeed and overall student performance to improve. I thank the current board for keeping these priorities in mind. When you become part of a community, as my family did in Chatham, you have an obligation to move that community forward. Yes, we are all individuals, but we are individuals living in collective community, hoping to make it better for all who live here. Thank you for your time, attentiveness, and service.
Emily, help me out. Geiser, thank you, and Emily Boynton. Okay.
Good evening. I have one child at Seaforth and one who just graduated from Northwood. She's now at UNC. I'm here to say thanks to these board members who are committed to the success of the students in this rapidly growing county. I'm here because I care about balanced education and fair teacher compensation. Recently, there's been some noise in our community about putting parents first, and putting parents first will not help our children succeed. What helps kids succeed are excellent teachers, so let's increase the salaries so we can recruit the best, expanding programs such as AVID, increasing reading opportunities, and addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's not rhetoric for CRT, as has been suggested. Banning books and trying to distract people with concepts of CRT is not helping our students succeed. Those opposed to diversity and equity training are using fear to coerce voters, parents, and community members that our kids are being brainwashed, and that's not true. Access to a variety of perspectives is what makes students succeed, to think critically and to develop compassion, and we all want that for our kids. I encourage our communities to support our current Board of Education and continue to move forward to provide a respectful, safe, and nurturing school environment for all students and staff.
Emily Boynton and Jennifer Adams.
Good evening. My name is Emily Boynton, and I'm the parent of 2 students in Chatham County Schools. Our last 11 years in Chatham County Schools has been very positive, both for my kids as students and for my husband and I as parents. That's not to say that I haven't had concerns or issues over the years, or reasons to reach out to teachers or administrators, because I have. And when I have, my questions and concerns, as well as any ideas or recommendations I have made, have always been met with an open-minded respect and a willingness for discussion. In fact, my impression of this entire community, parents, teachers, administrators, and board members, is that we have always found a way to work together and problem solve in a respectful, thoughtful, nonpartisan way. That is why I find it so hard to comprehend the events that occurred at last month's board meeting. I am very troubled by the half-truths and in some cases outright lies that were spoken by folks, most from our community, but some that were not even Chatham County residents. I am also shocked by the apparent unwillingness of some of the folks in attendance to work with their school administrators or staff when they had a problem. Instead, they chose to come to the school board meeting and directly attack the board, never giving their school administrators a chance. And that is the reason I am here tonight, to express my frustration and dismay, and to stand with the many Chatham County parents and guardians here tonight that share these concerns and who want to offer support to our current school board. The fabricated drama that took place at the last board meeting was clearly politically motivated and very dangerous, because it takes energy and resources away from the only thing our school board, administrators, and educators should be focusing on: doing what's best for the students in our schools. I hope our greater community recognizes this and will stand behind and uplift the positive work our district is doing to support all students. And I also want to add one little positive thing that came from Horton recently from the principal. They met or exceeded growth in all student groups for grades 6 through 8, which is a pretty amazing thing.
Jennifer Adams.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Adams, and I'm the parent of 2 Northwood students, and I want to talk about this local attention we've been getting about what's being taught in our schools. First of all, it's worth mentioning that I've spent a lot of time in classrooms as a parent volunteer. I volunteered weekly in both of my kids' classes throughout all of their time at Perry Harrison. I served on the PTA board in various leadership positions at both Perry Harrison and Pollard. I sat on the school improvement team for a few years, and I even went to a DPI-run focus group for Reach to Achieve when that legislation passed. So I think I have a pretty decent idea of what's being taught in Chatham County schools. So with that in mind, I'd like to say to the board here, to Dr. Jackson, to all of the principals that are here, and all of the staff and administrators and teachers, thank you. Thank you for setting up an environment where our kids are able to safely learn and grow. Thank you for giving them a foundation that sets them up for success as adults, whether they are college-bound or go straight into the workforce. Thank you for doing everything in your power to give them teachers who engage them and teach them how to use their God-given gifts to the best of their potential. Thank you for working within a broken system of regulations handed down from the state without the funding to support it, to still make sure that our schools have the resources needed for success. And thank you for working to make sure that every student can learn what their place is in history and how to use that knowledge as adults to be a positive influence and contribute to society. Because that's really the end goal, right? So frankly, I'm a little bit confused as to what all this commotion is about. What exactly is being taught that is supposed to be so offensive and scary? Is it that there are people of color in our history who have made meaningful contributions despite centuries of oppression? Is it that the system isn't yet fixed? I've always loved history, and I'm proud of my Southern heritage, and I wish that I had learned those stories in school because I was missing half the story. Unfortunately, I didn't learn about Madam C.J. Walker, who became one of the first women self-made millionaires, or who has heard of Henry Blair? I hadn't, but his invention in farming were right up there with the cotton gin, yet we all know who Eli Whitney was. Or the enslaved person who during the Revolutionary War taught us about the African practice of extracting disease from infected people and putting it in healthy people for the first time. Thank goodness for him, right? And did you all know that 1 in 4 cowboys were black, helping to shape the Wild West? So folks, some of our history is ugly. It is, and we all know that it is. But we can't hide from it, and we shouldn't. And by learning about it, we can fix that broken system. And to the parents who may be worried that your kids are being taught that white people are the villains and that Christianity is evil, I urge you to volunteer in your kids' classroom. Listen to what's actually being taught. Read the books they're bringing home. And I think you'll realize that we are so lucky to have our kids in Chatham County schools with leadership that is reasonable, balanced, and just wants the best for our kids. So to the board, please continue with this work. Continue to not be distracted by the noise and remain focused on ensuring our kids learn with a curriculum that includes the full story so they can understand their history and better prepare them for the diverse world that we live in. Thank you.
Can we take a 5-minute recess real quick, and we'll be right back. Get up and talk to each other. Fellowship a little bit. We'll take a 5-minute recess.